What up, what up? This is Hot Take Season, where these hot takes are rated E for everybody. I'm your host, Mia Me, back with episode number 2. Remember, if you want your hot take featured on the show, submit those to either of my social media platforms. I can be found at HotTakeSzn on Twitter. It's _HotTakeSzn on Instagram. And of course, HotTakeSzn on YouTube. I want this show to be very interactive for us fans and or couch coaches, as some people like to call us, who don't really get to share our opinions outside of social media. Topics will be given out prior to episode releases, so please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share, and then send me your hot takes. Now, I have some pretty good topics lined up for this episode, so we're going to jump right in. First hot take features the situation between Kevin Durant and Kendrick Perkins on Twitter. No sooner as I finished episode 1, NBA Twitter decided to cut up. Kendrick Perkins versus Kevin Durant heated up on the timeline, and KD had time that night. Alright, so in case you missed it, let me try to break it down for you a little bit, kind of sum it up like G-Baby on Hardball. Perkins tweeted, "In about 30 minutes, I'm going to give my opinion on SportsCenter on why I believe Russell Westbrook is the best player to ever put on a Thunder jersey. He is Mr. Thunder." Celtics reporter Mark D'Amico responded saying, "He put together the best career within that organization, but he's definitely not the best player to ever put on a jersey for them. Come on, Perk." Perk goes, "Hey, Kevin left the door open and Russ walked right in it." D'Amico says, "I think Russ walked right into the door called second round of the playoffs 3 straight times." Perk then says, "KD lost in the second round without Russ when I was there. So what that mean?" Alright, here was where it gets funny, because KD chimes in, and not from his burner account this time. And he says, you and our starting center averaged a whopping 2 and 3 that series. You played really hard though, champ." Perk replies, "Boy, stop. You did the weakest move in NBA history, up on a 3-1 team in the Western Conference Finals, and then you go join them the following season? Heart of a champion right there." Alright, so now we see what Perk's issue is, and some of y'all still feel a way about it too. Yes, KD joined the Warriors after they beat him. Okay, I get it. But fam, like, y'all still hung up on that? It's been like 4 years now? Let it go. Like, for real, let it go. KD did what he felt he needed to do. And the way I see it, teaming up is teaming up no matter how you do it. If you're electing to team up with other superstars for the sake of ring chasing, then that is what it is. Now, KD was going to get paid regardless. What wasn't guaranteed was him winning a ring. So would I put an asterisk next to his rings? Absolutely not. I feel it is what it is. He teamed up. Other people have teamed up. That's what he needed for his legacy. And that was that. Ex-players such as Matt Barnes and Gilbert Arenas took to the net to basically tell Perk to chill out. My favorite post of the two would be from No Chill Gil. Now, I won't recite his whole post because it was rather lengthy. But to paraphrase it a little bit, Gil basically gave a history lesson on KD being 27 at the time and already of Hall of Fame character. The only thing missing was a ring. He had all the other titles and accolades except that one. Since OKC let Harden get away, which would have been their big 3, that franchise was moving backwards, and there weren't but 2 places that KD could have gone, which were Golden State and Cleveland. Cleveland had just won the championship, so they weren't about to spend out all that money on Kevin Durant. And Golden State was the only other option for him to get paid and get a ring. At InMomo We Trust on Twitter offered his take on the matter, saying, "I can side with KD on this one because what has Perk ever really done? Don't get me wrong, KD went the soft way out and is still being criticized for it. I can't really be mad at him because Golden State needed him. Perk should just shut up." I even have Brooklyn finishing in the top 3 in the East next season when KD is healthy. Now that right there is a good take. I'm going to have to agree with you on that one, Momo. I also 100% agree with Gilbert Arenas. Look at how many retired players have their careers looked at as less than because they never won a ring. I'll drop the name of my favorite as an example, Mr. Allen Iverson. Iverson to this day catches so much slack for not having a ring, and I don't care what anybody says, he's still one of the all-time greats as a whole in this league. All right, moving on to hot take number 2. Monday night was bittersweet for college football fans because it was the championship game for LSU and Clemson, but also the last game of the season. Is it just me, or did football season seem to go by faster this year than usual? I mean, I get football season always goes by fast, but for some reason this year just seemed faster than usual. I don't know, maybe I'm just getting older. But anyway, LSU did as I predicted and pulled out the W. What I didn't expect, and a lot of us didn't expect, was that they would win by as much as they did. I, for one, felt the game was going to be a lot closer than 42-25 in favor of LSU. Things started out shaky for LSU as they were down 17-7 in the second quarter, but tables would soon turn before the half. Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence had about 130 passing yards in the first half and like 104 in the second half, finishing up with 234 on 18 completions and 37 attempts. LSU's defense turned up the heat, and Lawrence was just not having the kind of night that fans are used to seeing him have. LSU's quarterback Joe Burrow, on the other hand, had 31 completions on 49 attempts, finishing the game with 463 passing yards and 5 touchdowns, 58 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. Burrow and LSU broke all kinds of records Monday night. For Burrow, he now holds the all-time passer rating, total touchdowns in the national game, and total combined yards in the national title game. LSU owns the records for most points in a regular season. Burrow finishes the year with 5,671 passing yards, tying him with former Houston quarterback Case Keenum for third all-time in a season. However, his 49 completions cost him the season record for completion percentage in a season. He entered Monday night's game at 77.6, but it dropped to 76.3. Now, in Burrow's defense, his receivers did drop some costly passes. Former Texas quarterback Colt McCoy still owns the record at 76.7. Burrow's 14 touchdowns in a postseason run were more than the Big Ten or Pac-12 has produced in playoff history. Burrow's 60 touchdown passes were more than LSU's grand total as a program from 2014 to 2017. Alright, now if you remember from episode 1 of HotTakeSzn, at its Kimo on Twitter had LSU winning it all and felt that Burrow was the better quarterback. Burrow certainly looked like the better quarterback on Monday night, in my opinion, especially from a mechanic standpoint. So good call on that, King. As far as upside goes, I think it's worth noting that Lawrence is just a sophomore and 20 years old, whereas Burrow is 23 and a senior. So I do look for Lawrence to eventually go pro and excel at that level, pending setbacks. But for now, congrats to LSU. It's going to be pretty funny seeing what Trump's fast food selection is this time for the team's White House visit. I wouldn't go, but that's another story for another day. Anyway, it's also going to be interesting to see if LSU can remain a top 5 team heading into next season, keeping in mind that their passing game coordinator just signed a deal with the Carolina Panthers. So, while on college football, and going on to hot take number 3, Penn State is yet again in another disgusting scandal. You would think after the whole Sandusky scandal that no one would even remotely follow in those steps, but here we are again. Former Penn State player Isaiah Humphries and son of former NFL player, ex-Penn State player Leonard Humphries, has filed a lawsuit against Penn State, their head coach James Franklin, and the team's defensive tackle Damian Barber for hazing efforts. Linebackers Micah Parsons, Jesse Luketa, and defensive end Yetur Gross Matos have also been named in a suit for hazing efforts. Humphries is claiming that Coach Franklin ignored violent sexual hazing, which included upperclassmen telling some players, "I'm going to Sandusky you." Now, if you don't remember or you're unfamiliar with that situation, former Penn State coach Jerry Sandusky was convicted on 45 counts of child molestation in 2012, stemming from incidents which occurred from 1994 to 2009. Sandusky is currently serving a 30 to 60 year bid. The claim shares graphic details of what's basically considered sexual assault as well as the stealing of victims' clothes. Humphries cites that Lucetta told him that if Humphries ever visited his city, I think in Canada, that he would have him gunned down. Humphries also claims that he was retaliated against with extra drills that ostracized him when he made his complaints. He also says he was denied proper medical attention for anxiety and narcolepsy. Furthermore, he has transferred to the University of California, where he'll be eligible to play in the 2020 season. Penn State said that they did do their own investigation. They sent the results of that investigation over to the DA, and the DA decided that no charges should be pursued. The investigation they did took place in the spring of 2019 over sexual misconduct. Several players were interviewed. One was even given a lie detector test, and he passed. The players assert that it's merely horseplay and that the player bringing up these complaints just wants to be able to transfer quickly. But then Barber was suspended for the first game this season for a violation of team rules. Now, of course, they're not going to disclose what the violation was to the public, but that is something to raise your eyebrow at. Now, the school and organization, no doubt, has a tainted rep, so it's easy to believe that these allegations are true and that the DA not filing charges could be looked at in various lights. Is Humphries lying, or is the DA in damage control mode and covering up? I've never been on the side of playing sports and wanting to transfer to another school to play, but I find it extremely funny that a player would bring up these type of allegations for a quick transfer when you're going to have to sit out the season anyway. And lying about something so serious would really destroy whatever career you have going. As for now, I'll stay tuned to see how this plays out, and I'll keep y'all updated as much as I can. Now we got another scandal with hot take number 4 being the Astros World Series scandal. You can go ahead and put an asterisk next to Houston's first World Series championship, as an investigation has shown that the Astros cheated during the 2017 and 2018 season. The Astros are said to have used a camera-based system to steal signs from their opponents, giving Astros batters an advantage on which pitches were coming. Signs were relayed to batters by banging on trash cans. The MLB decided to suspend Astros manager A.J. Hinch, GM Jeff Luhnow, and former assistant GM Brandon Tubman for 1 year. The Astros also have to forfeit their first and second round picks in the 2020 and 2021 drafts. The organization was also fined $5 million, the most that they could be fined under the MLB Constitution. Now, Astros owner Jim Crane decided that a 1-year suspension was just not suitable enough, and shortly after the suspension was announced, he fired Hinch and Luhnow. It said that the sign stealing via trash can banging was player driven, but Hinch and Luhnow knew of it and did nothing to stop it. Boston Red Sox manager Alex Cora was the Astros bench coach in 2017 and is expected to receive similar punishment pending completion of the investigation into illicit use of a video replay room by the Red Sox in 2018. Now, y'all, as I was preparing to do this episode, I was just like, I can't get this episode out quick enough because more information on the situation just kept popping out. So, as of Thursday, video surfaced that some players may have also had buzzers in their jerseys. One video is showing Jose Altuve telling his teammates not to rip his jersey off as he ran the bases after a walk-off home run that sent the Astros to the World Series. Some fans are saying, no, he did that because the last time they ripped his jersey off, his wife got upset about it. Yeah, okay. Okay, if you say so. Okay. Carlos Beltran, who finished his playing career with the Astros that year, had taken the job as the new manager for the New York Mets. He's now been relieved of his duties before they even started. And an alleged niece of Beltran is the one who exposed the information about the buzzers. The MLB is struggling to find suitable punishment for the players involved, such as suspending and banning them, I guess because it will leave teams short. Sign stealing in the league, however, goes back to 1900 when the Phillies coach did it. And then it happened again in 1914 with the Miracle Braves. And again in 1951 with the New York Giants, which really wasn't revealed or talked about until 2001. In all of these instances, no punishment was handed out. Here we are in 2020 and the league is still struggling to find adequate punishment. Jaron, who is at J_Murphy_ on Twitter and a member of the No Bystanders podcast, says the Astros should have gotten their title stripped from them. What they did was on another level and had direct involvement in winning the World Series. When they were at home, they were unstoppable, and their home run percentages went way up because of sign stealing. The players should get punished as well because they are just as equally guilty. The punishment the organization got, was fine because it'll handicap them for the next few years, but it should have ended with them vacating the World Series title. At MMO We Trust on Twitter says the MLB is scared to take their championship. What's the point of the investigation if you're not going to do anything about it? It's ridiculous. Taking the world title would send a message. I would definitely say find them all. Suspending them all is still an option for me because majority of them are no longer even on the Astros team anyway. Everybody's pretty much split up. So, if you have to miss a few players off your team, you throw a few minor leaguers in there and hey, it is what it is. But them just getting a slap on the wrist for it, I don't see that being appropriate. It's just been a bad week overall for Houston fans. I mean, no matter the sport at this juncture. The divisional round of the NFL playoffs for this past weekend and what was a good start for the Houston Texans didn't last long at all against the Kansas City Chiefs. Houston was up 21-0 in the first quarter, but it only took the Chiefs 4 minutes to wake up and rip their hearts out. By halftime, Kansas City was up 28-21 and went on to win the game 51-31. Now, I know Houston fans have been asking for a new head coach for a while, and a part of me was like, okay, but you're in the divisional round, so let's just see if he'll kind of shake things together. But man, to go on and lose a 21-point lead that fast and then you still can't come back from it, I don't know, you got to clean house at that point. Houston only managed to score 7 points in the second half. So hear me when I say you have embarrassed the state of Texas. The Titans entered their matchup against the Ravens as the underdog, and once again the Titans prevailed 28-12. The Titans have pretty much put everybody on notice, I think. I surely didn't see them holding Lamar Jackson and the Ravens to just 12 points. Tannehill had 7 completions on just 14 attempts for a whopping 88 yards. Henry had 30 carries for 195 yards. I mean, really no surprise there. Lamar went 31 on 59 for 365. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Mark Ingram only rushed for 22 yards. And Marquise Brown had 126 receiving yards. Just by looking at the stat sheet, Baltimore put up numbers everywhere but in the end zone. I mean, like, seriously, the Titans had 1 receiver with 45 yards. All of their other receivers had less than 20. Henry didn't rush for a touchdown, but he threw one for 3 yards. The Ravens just could not get into the end zone. Now, the Vikings at 49ers game ended as most expected. The Niners pulled out a 27-10 win, and then Seattle lost to Green Bay 28-23. Seattle just really couldn't stop kicking themselves in the butt. I feel like Russell had to scramble, pray, and fight on every down. But looking to this coming weekend, the Titans take on the Chiefs, and the Packers play the 49ers. Tyson Talk's Super Bowl prediction is the Chiefs and Packers. He's got a little historical superstition going on. He says the first Super Bowl was them and it's the 100th season, so it kind of should be them. He expects for the Chiefs to win, although he'd love for the Titans to win. He says they're the real underdogs. He says Henry right now is a beast, and I'm not sure I've ever seen a running back with this kind of performance in the playoffs. I mean, he's the main reason that they beat Baltimore and New England. And I would agree with you there, Tyson. I don't think I've ever seen anybody go off this hard in the playoffs either. Jaron offers his take with the Super Bowl, predicting a Kansas City and 49ers Super Bowl. He says Kansas City will be too much for Tennessee to handle, and we've seen that no lead is too big for them to overcome. Their defense is underrated, and they have the ability to score in the blink of an eye. Tennessee doesn't have the power to keep up if it ends in a shootout. San Francisco, because that defense is legit. And yes, Rodgers has stepped up this season, but the way San Fran has disrupted plans, it's amazing. Jimmy G will have to be the perfect game changer that day, and I think he has the ability to do so. In Momo We Trust says, congrats to the Packers for making it this far because they're done. Momo says Rodgers is scared to throw to Richard Sherman's side, and he's giving the edge to the Titans. He says Henry has yet to be stopped. The Chiefs' D is still sketchy to him. Tennessee has the better O-line, and it's going to come down to game management. I can agree with you there. It usually does come down to game management. As for me, I would love to see two upsets here. Give me Tennessee and Green Bay in the Super Bowl. But my prediction for right now is the Chiefs and 49ers. I don't think 88 passing yards from Tannehill is going to cut it from the Titans, even if Henry rushes for another 190 yards. I think this may be where the buck stops for Tennessee. Green Bay has done enough to get here, but the 49ers just seem like a more complete team to me right now. So we'll see what happens with that. Our next hot take goes to Jimmy Johnson as he is headed to Canton finally. As the season comes to a close, names have been revealed for who will be heading to Canton and going into the Hall of Fame. Former Dolphins and Cowboys coach Jimmy Johnson was surprised on air when he was told he was selected. A very emotional moment for Jimmy, and I'm not an emotional person, but seeing Jimmy choked up with gratitude, and then they put the camera on Troy Aikman, and Troy was all teary-eyed. I was like, okay, this is enough for me. I've seen enough, I think. Tyson Talk says this is way overdue for Coach, and I agree with you. It's well overdue for Jimmy. I would have expected him to go in before Jerry Jones did. Former Cowboys wide receiver Drew Pearson was snubbed again this year, and he's pretty upset about it, and honestly, I don't blame him. I'm upset for him. It's been over 30 years. It's definitely time. Momo says it's about time. It's well deserved. And Drew really got messed over. Now, Jay Anthony on Twitter, who is at iPersevere2, says it's well overdue. I'm happy for Jimmy, but this is now proof that Jerry is still bitter about the relationship that he has with Jimmy because he's still not in the Cowboys Ring of Honor. It's been over 30 years, and it's also time for Drew Pearson to be inducted as well. Now, Jay Anthony, I will say I hadn't even thought about that in regards to Jimmy not being in the Ring of Honor yet. That is something else that should be talked about a little more. Yeah, Jerry's got to get over himself with that one because it's time for that too. Switching gears now to some WNBA talk. The league and its players' union have agreed in principle on a new collective bargaining agreement, which includes a nearly doubled maximum salary and paid maternity leave. Under this new contract, top players would be able to earn more than $500,000. Low salaries and maternity benefits have been a huge complaint for years now, and with this new deal, salaries can increase to almost 83%. Union leaders are pushing for an NBA comparable share of league's revenue. The WNBA formed in 1996 by the NBA, who shares their ownership. Now, the NBA splits its revenue with the men 50-50, while WNBA players get about 20 to 30% in their split. In this new deal, which would extend through 2027, players could see an almost equal split pending certain revenue markers being met with broadcasting, marketing, and licensing. Maternity leave with full salary, nursing areas and arenas, and a $5,000 childcare stipend would also be provided. The league seems to really be trying to make real strides here for women because veteran players can now seek reimbursement for up to $60,000 in costs directly related to adoption, surrogacy, egg freezing, and fertility treatment. Now, aside from better compensation and maternity benefits, the league is also providing individual hotel rooms, travel upgrades, and off-season jobs, which is very important when you have players who want to play year-round. They sometimes go overseas and play, and then they get hurt, and then they have to sit out a whole season over here due to that injury. For example, Breanna Stewart, she was the reigning MVP, went overseas to play and then tore her Achilles and had to miss an entire season here in the States. Players like Mystics guard Christy Tolliver, who was an NBA coach, assistant coach rather, with the Washington Wizards, she was on pay restrictions to where she could only make $10,000 doing that job. So I'm here for it all. Sounds like voices are finally being heard. One issue I can see left right now is advertising on jerseys, which is minor compared to the other strides being made, should the deal go through, that is. Women's jerseys, as of last year, no longer had the players' numbers on the front, only on the back. The front is taken up by the brand of whatever company was sponsoring the team the most. NBA jerseys have ads in the upper corner of their jerseys, which I feel is more appropriate. I'm not opposed to advertising. By all legal means, get your money, boo. But taking up the entire front of a jersey with words like Geico and AT&T, I mean, somebody has to draw the line somewhere. For those who work games, such as refs, it's harder to identify a player when making calls. I have witnessed many games where a ref has asked another ref, a player, and even the scorer's table what number they just called a foul on. It's a little ridiculous. And what's more ridiculous is that a little birdie kind of told me that the NBA just may be adopting this format too. If they do, I can see it not lasting long because they'll probably receive more backlash from the fans about it. And the NBA holds more viewers. So if they're going to do something like that, you at least have to put the numbers on the shorts or make the jersey short sleeve and put the numbers on the sleeves or something like that. Now, Momo's take on that is, I'm happy for them. As a professional athlete, you shouldn't have to have struggles that they have. This was the right move. They need more support and sponsorship. Gotta agree with you again there, Momo. They do need more support and sponsorship. And I think from a support aspect, and some of y'all might be like, well, you're a woman. Of course you see it that way. But I feel like a lot of WNBA games are really good in person. Like once you can be there and see it live and really get into the game, you really find yourself enjoying it. And I think a lot of people just underestimate it in that aspect. Don't get me wrong, you can find some great matchups on television. But it's just a different experience when you're there and can see it live and get into the game and experience it that way. Well, alright, this has been episode 2 of Hot Take Season, where these hot takes are rated E for everybody. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Send me those hot takes if you want to be a part of the show. Mia out.